As you remember, we continue to read from Mark, the shortest and the oldest gospel. And to refresh your memory about what we talked last week, and I'm glad we're done, was last week was a very tough text. We talked about the life of the death of the John the Baptist. It's a very strange way that Mark put it some way. But this week will help us to understand actually why he went in details telling us what exactly happened and how John the Baptist was killed. So our chapter today at Mark 6 from the 30 to 34, the story is that the disciples came back. So why is he jumping from telling us about the details about the John the Baptist and the death and all these horrific scenes like he really illustrates in front of us? And then he jumped into that. One big reason is as if Mark is trying to put Herod as a leader, as supposed to be a shepherd. In front of another human, he will show us how to be a shepherd. So if you think of, most of the time we compare the Baptist into Christ. But in this way, we are comparing the Herod as somebody who's running the country, somebody who's supposed to take care of his sheep. And we see that in the scene with John the Baptist, that he has all his beloved people, all the rich, the powerful, the strong. He picked all the leaders of the country, and they came to his birthday. And we know the story about using the power and killing an innocent, famous, wonderful preacher like the Baptist just to keep his words. And as Mark is trying to say, and now I'm going to tell you about another story with another human being that his name is Jesus Christ. He sent out his disciples and told them to go and take care of everything. Do not worry about food. Do not worry about money. Just bear the clothes that keep you alive. Okay? And after he told us the story of the Baptist, he's now telling us they came back. What happened? So the end of the Baptist life, and now it's a beginning of the Christian mission with Christ's disciples. They came back and they start to tell him the actions, what happened. We healed people. We actually cast out the demons. We were able to be fed and welcomed. We were so happy. So they give him a report. But before I highlight this report, one important thing for human life, when they move from the place of inaction to do an action. It's a very scary place. It's always easy to listen, Like if I just challenge any of you here and say, I give you the mic today, you are the preacher. I'm sure you will freak out, right? So none of us will feel comfortable about that. So when we change and switch places between being the recipient or being the giver, in all of these, God is blessing us. But there is something happening in our soul when we move from the place of just getting into the place of giving somebody else. So they've been for a long time, the disciples been for a long time good listeners, listening. And if they have any question, any confusion, anything, they kept it for themselves. And now they are baptized by the fire. Christ throw them on the road and say, go out, just do your job. Go and try and come back. So something happened in their soul. And Christ is trying the first thing. He let them say whatever. He did not say who did a good job, who did not do a good job. His reaction was, you are hungry. And come with me. And the condition here, by yourself. Do not bring anything else. Do not bring the crowds. Do not bring the job. Do not bring the agenda. Do not bring anything that will make you not yourself. Everybody outsider is looking for, what can you do? How can you amaze us? How can you be our good, whatever you offer? But Christ is trying to dig in and say, where all these actions coming from? We forgot that we try to be strong and stay on the road talking about Christ's love. Do we really have enough love for our own self before we preach it? Do we have the minimum trust, honesty, and all of these before we are so worried about how much we can do to others? We do not ask ourselves, what happened to the tank of my love in my heart? Is it full or empty? Or even, I'm even aware of it or not? How many times a lot of good people who call for social justice and do all of these things, and we see them on one side, they could be like walking on waters. And another different topic, different time, different day, they almost seems heartless about other causes. Because it's part of it's agenda, it's a lobby, it's a political movement, it's whatever happened. This looks like a great thing, but we wonder about why, if you want to be a person with Christian heart, you cannot just be for one agenda and with the other one you do not care. Or sometimes even you are silent or you don't want to say anything about it. So Christ is not running a campaign. He does not care. Any campaign care about you as far as I get your vote. Once I get your vote, bye-bye. I do not need anything else. Once I get whatever I am just lobbying people and gathering people about, whatever, this could be in a church, in a political party, any movements can do that. But Christ is saying that I do not only care about your actions. I do not care that only about you doing the job for me. I care about you. What happened inside you? What's going on inside your mind and inside your heart? So this was a really key, wonderful thing, was all the good news. Any leaders, any pastor will be happy to hear this good news from the congregation and their committees. All the news is good. To see your children, to see your people are growing and stepping in and doing and being responsible, and you see the fruits. Anybody will be so amazed to hear all this news. But in the middle of this successful mission, Christ was saying, I do not forget you as a person, not as just a workers. Not just as somebody who give me some product, I get the product and I did not care. That's what we do to each other in many ways. But Christ say, I am different. There are millions shepherds around you. You call them pastors, you call them presidents, you call governors, whatever titles you call them, it doesn't matter. All of them, they were supposed to be shepherds. But when Christ talk about being a good shepherd, he say, I'm different. So that's why, come, good news. Let's get together. Let's get sit. Go alone in the desert. And I'll never forget one lesson I learned. Yes, you know that I did not grow up here in Minnesota. I grew up in a desert land in Egypt. So long time ago, when I was doing one of the study with other groups, and were different people from different countries, and some of them were from here, we went to the ancient sites in Egypt that's called St. Anthony Monastery, which is, he's the guy invented monasticism, the idea of being how to be a monk. That's actually came out of Egypt. We're talking about the 3rd to the 4th century AD. So we went there. We called them, if anybody care about that, to Google it. It's called the Red Monastery in Egypt. It's very famous, very old, beautiful. But as I was this time, I was just really still Protestant. So we do not. This is considered like Coptic Orthodox thing. So so the Protestant feeling like we feel like these people are old, they are not adopted. So I went there, I show respect to the monk, and we were gathering, and he was teaching us about the history of this thing. And I'm sharing my sin at this visit. So everybody, I was not really focused on what this guy was saying much. So, and I was making a lot of noise, and I was not aware what kind of noise I was making. So the monk actually made a situation that's made me embarrassed of myself. So the monk while he was talking, he stopped suddenly talk, so nobody's making noise except me, to show me who's making the noise here, what the noise was coming from. So I was actually having my cup of tea, and I have my spoon, and I was putting the sugar in. And what do? You're just trying to dissolve the sugar in the tea. So, and as I was stirring that, I was not aware that this is beyond my conscious to be even aware of how much noise I was making. I make tea all my life. I make huge noise. I never thought about it. But he was very smart, the monk was very smart to stop suddenly, and he made a lesson out of my own behavior. So he said, listen, do you listen what this guy's doing? And he pointed at me about the noise. And he really made a very good thing, as he was very funny and very gentle. And he started to tell about as we come to the desert, the most important thing that we worship and adore silence. We get in touch with all the natures, and the only thing is here the sound of the wind and the nature and the animals. So he said we became more, he said this is very different. For me, I was like beyond to understand that when I tried to stir the sugar in my tea make a noise. Who will think about that, right? But this guy was saying that's how we developed our senses and our conscious to be aware of the small details, to know that how we can listen to ourselves and to everything around us. So he says silence, and we come to the desert here to know that we are quieting everything else to listen to ourselves. When you think about how many times really we sat with ourselves and listened to ourselves. How many times we try really to be in touch with what's going on with me. All the time, we are putting much effort on the outside part. And we ask why people are not doing this, why people are doing that, why? And we forgot, like, where is the source of all this coming from? Where the energy that's making somebody's putting their life on the line for something they believe in. So this is the practice Christ said, come here. Come here and find a way. When he was talking about feeding and eating, he was not talking only about the real food. He was talking about the spiritual food. He was talking about really just remember that every time you get empty, it's not about blaming the political system and the time and the family, and maybe all of that has some rights. But the most important thing is you. What's going on with yourself? What's going on with your soul? Are you a disturbed soul or a soul that's trying to find peace? You are conflicted in many ways. So one day you are cheering for this group, and the other day you are condemning them. The other day you're condemning them, and another day you cheer for them. And you should ask yourself, it's not about the cause. It's not about the actions. It's about you. Why I'm so confused? Why I'm so disturbed? And this is why Christ, when he came to the scene talking about, he called them that they look like sheep without shepherds. And he said that's what happened. That's what happened when good shepherds are not doing their job. Do you know what's the result will happen? This sheep will be sick, hungry, lost. They have no directions. They have nowhere to go. And the lost and the worst piece, they are the good meal for other predators. So this is how things Christ is saying. This is the difference between being a good shepherd and a fake shepherd. A shepherd that moves by heart and see what people are doing. It's not because you are lifting up a stand cheering for me or you are with me today, but I know tomorrow you could condemn me. So Christ saw them as a sheep without a shepherd. Christ says sometimes people do a lot of actions, but with no heart. And there is a lot of people have good heart, but they're lacking the actions. And this is what Christ is trying to say. You are both. People celebrate you when you doing good action that match their agenda and their needs. But they have no idea about what's really in your heart. And Christ is saying, if I get your heart, you get different actions. Sometimes you get even the wrong actions. You get the wrong way to go with the wrong group. But your good heart will bring you back. Your good heart will have the self-restoration and self-way to get where is the direction I need to go. The Good Shepherd is telling us today is this is the difference. Herods as a symbol compared to Christ. The human shepherds who cannot see what's going on in your heart and your mind. And Christ say, I know you. I see what's happening in you. When everybody else look at what they see and hear from you, I look at your heart and I hear your thoughts that nobody else can hear and see. As we see in the story that Christ is saying that I am not just the shepherd, I'm the divine shepherd. I'm not just the one that's waiting for you to lobby and be behind me. I know that one day most of you will run away, will be scared, and nobody will be around the cross. But again, I know you will come back. You will find a way to gather your friends and try to take care of my body and put my body in a respectful tomb. And I know that you will one day you will get closer, and the other day you will run away like a scared child. One day you will be very open and honest and tell me, and the other day you try to play smart cards and go around things and never talk directly to what's really going on in your life. Christ is the true shepherd. He's not only good because he gave us what we want. He is good because he knows what we really need. There is a difference between true need and what we want. We want a million things, but is really what we want is really what we need? And what we need, is it just for my body, for my thoughts? What about my soul? And I hope today as Christian, as I'm closing this sermon, that we really can have some good spiritual Christian practice to care about our soul, to have time to be in touch with things. This is not just a new agey thing where people talking about rain and nature and all. I think it is in our faith, even if some people take it in a different extreme way where we maybe agree or disagree. But the practice itself, it's about the idea of solitude and being in a place to listen to yourself. When was the last time you really were grateful to listen to a bird? The bird is singing out of your place every day. When was the last time you actually became in touch and grateful and said, oh, the bird been outside all the summer, and this is my first time. See, that God is singing for me. God is talking to me. The nature is reminding me in a simple thing like a singing bird. In the rain, that's maybe we are worried to get wet from the rain, but not being grateful as the rain has some side that you may scares you, but the other side, it's nurture and feed everything around you and see it as a sign of planting and renewal, a sign of life coming out. It's all, do we listen? Do we feel? Do we get in touch with many things? How many times, when was the last time you really enjoyed your meal and not being rushing into from one meeting after another and worry about what's going to happen? You are eating, but you are actually not eating. Your mind is somewhere else. Your heart is so divided and busy about even what is the taste of the food that is in your mouth. What are you eating? All these actually is taking us part when life was slow, when people actually have time to sit together and eat and enjoy, and each person, a farmer, will go and get whatever from their garden, and they see what they are bringing from the garden and the amount they need, and they wash it. They are in touch with the whole process from the beginning, as getting something out of the soil as it's ended in your mouth. And because the life we live now, we are so separated with all of these things. When was the last time you took a shower and thought about really thinking about the shower, not just only to wash your own body from the dirt, but really to think about, is the moment to calm and to, is there a way I can think about washing my soul? As I do that, is all about, do you stop and think and connect what's happening here and outside of you with what's going on here? If you can connect these three circles, I think you will be lucky and you will live a happy life. You will find a way to pick your tools to continue in this life until one day we find and understand all the things that we'll never understand as we live on earth. I pray that you find really the gift, you open yourself to the true divine good shepherd who wants to feed you the true food that starts from here and lasts forever. Amen.
Good morning.